Welcome to the Pot Stirrer podcast with Jazzy Jeff, where we take local government out of the back room, put it under the bright lights, and keep stirring until taxpayers get some answers. The pot is hot, the spoon is ready, and nothing is off limits. Let's stir it up. Email us at jazzyjeff@jazzyjeffpotstirrer.com. And now here's your host, Jazzy Jeff.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome in. It's coming up to the top of the hour of 6 o'clock here on this Tuesday evening. I want to welcome you in. We're going to get the pot stirred up here very shortly for you as we get ready to head inside to tonight's Oconee County Council meeting. We'll begin with, real quickly, some local news headlines. Well, a person was reportedly struck by lightning in the Seneca area yesterday as Oconee County Emergency Management responded to the incident. As that happened, also, too, Walhalla has selected David Paulson as the new city administrator. He currently serves as the interim police chief in Pendleton and is expected to take that position up August the 28th and begin working for Walhalla on the 31st. Also, in some news headlines this evening here on the Tuesday, the Oconee Humane Society has issued an urgent appeal for foster homes as shelter officials say declining adoptions and increased dogs intakes have created severe overcrowding at the Humane Society. Now, the shelter provides veterinarian care, supplies, and support for approved foster families. Also, to the South Carolina Department of Transportation has filed a condemnation action against and connected to the planned improvements at Seneca's East End intersection, the busy meeting point of Clemson Boulevard, Rochester Highway, and East North 1st Street. The property-involved action reportedly includes the CVS location at the intersection. And finally here, ladies and gentlemen, we get ready to turn our attention to tonight's Oconee County Council meeting coming up. We're waiting for them to join up. We will have tonight, of course, on the tap as council meets here at 6 o'clock at the County Council Chambers at 415 South Pine Street in Walhalla. And there's plenty on tonight's 5-page agenda. 2 public hearings are scheduled. The first involves granting utility easement rights to Upcountry Fiber on county-owned property near Nebo Church Road. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Walhalla for the Oconee County Council meeting. Here's Matt Durham, chairman.
Okay, well, thanks for coming out. Have a full house and some out in the hallway. Today is now August 18th, 2026. Time is 6 p.m. Call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the Oconee County Council meeting. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Mr. Jones, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and ask for you to just guide us, guide our hearts, guide our minds and our words as we go forward. Help us to make the best decisions for the people of Oconee County. Help us to put your word first, dear Lord, in all that we do. In your name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Mr. Board, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
County attorney comments?
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chumley. Mr. Jones, administrator comments?
Not this time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve as written?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Next, we have a proclamation. Mr. James?
All right, before I read this proclamation for the 10 and under and 12 and under girls softball team from Westminster, I just want to say I appreciate all the hard work that the girls put in. I got to watch those games down there in the lower part of the state, but I also seen a lot of the preparation that went in to both the 10 and under and 12 and under girls being able to win a state title this year. And those things don't come easy. They don't come without hard work. And the amount of work that the coaches put in and the girls put in, a lot of people don't realize, especially with multiple state titles, which they have now over several years. There's a lot of work goes into that, and the dedication of the coaching staff and the support of the town of Westminster for the rec department and for these girls. These are the results you get with that kind of dedication. So I just want to thank everybody involved in that. Whereas the Westminster 10 and under and 12 and under all-star softball teams displayed outstanding dedication, determination, teamwork, and sportsmanship during the 2026 South Carolina Athletic Program State Championship Tournament. And whereas both teams competed in multiple games throughout the three-day tournament held at Riverview Park in North Augusta, South Carolina from June 19th through June 21st, 2026. And whereas through countless hours of practice, commitment, perseverance, and teamwork, both the Westminster 10 and under and 12 and under all-star teams were able to capture the title of 2026 South Carolina Athletic Program's state champions. And whereas these accomplishments are a testament to the dedication, hard work, and leadership of the coaches and assistant coaches, together with the continued encouragement and support provided by the players' families and community. And whereas the outstanding achievements of Westminster 10 and under and 12 and under all-star softball teams are a source of great pride for their families, coaches, the Westminster community, and the citizens of Oconee County. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, wish to acknowledge and congratulate the Westminster 10 and under and 12 and under all-star softball teams on their win of the 2026 South Carolina Athletic Program State Championship.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Herb, get up. Look, you see him trying to sneak in? Come on. Come in. Look at him. You thought you held back long enough, didn't you?
One more time. Champions. Champions.
Thank you. Okay, we'll continue on with public comment session. You have 5 minutes per speaker. We ask that you please keep comments related to county business. There's not an out and back between council members. There's a separate council member comment session. And then Ms. Adams keeps a timer. When it gets to 1 minute, it'll go yellow, and as time expires, it'll flash red. And as I'm right in front of you too, I'll try to remember to help as well.
Mr. David Crockett.
Evening, folks. Basically, no notes again tonight. Just have a few comments and a specific question. First off, I got to commend Mr. Durham. He's becoming quite the TV star on Substack and on Facebook. I don't follow you on Facebook. I don't follow anybody on Facebook. That's gotten to be such an echo chamber. It's a bit much. Substack's a little bit better. I would ask that if you haven't had a chance to check your Substack page, though, I forwarded a URL this morning from a news story that I picked up on from the state's newsroom that said that a number of counties and cities around the country are filing suit against apparently the 3 remaining companies that make fire engines. I didn't know there's only 3 companies that do this now. It used to be larger, and they've consolidated down to 3. And apparently the suits are alleging some sort of collusion and price fixing, and price of fire engines has, like doubled and tripled in the last couple of years. So it's an interesting story. So I'd commend that to you for some reading. I guess the comment I need to make tonight, though, it's a question. Since it didn't get answered at the last council meeting. Mr. Durham, are you planning to continue your campaign to disenfranchise the voters in the Corinth-Shiloh Special Task District? You stripped them of their right to vote for their commissioners, and you were within your rights because the Home Rule Act doesn't say you can't do it. And you said you were going to ask the county attorney to look into that, and we've not heard any report. So I'd just like to know if you were going to continue that, or is that a dead issue? Is the Fire Commission itself and the tax district itself going to continue? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Dylan Collard.
Good evening, fellow citizens and council members of Oconee County. My name is Dylan Collard, and I've been a resident of Oconee County for nearly 15 years now, and I'm 22, so most of my life. I've lived all around the county, Walhalla, Westminster, and now in West Union. I grew up in the local public school system and made many memories here, both good and bad. Regardless of my thoughts and doubts, this place truly has become my home. And that's why, with it being my home, where my closest friends and family live, where they work and play and spend most of their time, it has dawned on me the importance of protecting it, safeguarding it, and ensuring that this place can be just as welcoming and charming as it's been my whole life, so that myself and those I grew up with can decide to make this place a home for their future families too. With that said, I speak tonight in support of the resolution on bringing down these plot cameras. It is about time that the county council utilizes their ability to control county funding to act in the interest of the majority of concerned citizens, to tell Flock that we will not be surveilled. We will not be watched at every second. We will not allow your stalking, preyful eyes to violate the privacy of everyday citizens who simply just want to go about their lives. Regardless of what the sheriff has said before, I am not willing to take any chances allowing this surveillance state to expand, to the point where Flock cameras end up being pointed in the yards of our houses and neighborhoods, where they are set up at local parks and playgrounds, We already know that has happened elsewhere. I say, not here. And since the county council is able and willing to put forth restrictions on county funding to be used by the sheriff's office, I'm calling for them to, again, act in the interest of the safety of Oconee County citizens, and ask them to further restrict any and all county tax dollars being given to the sheriff's office till they break their 287G cooperation agreement with ICE. The fact of the matter is that although Flock claims they themselves don't cooperate with ICE, our local law enforcement does. The 287G agreement that the sheriff's office signed in March of 2025 by Sheriff Crenshaw himself allows our law enforcement to do ICE's job for them on our dime. Directly from the 287G agreement, under Section 4, Subsection E, Costs and Expenditures, quote, the law enforcement agency is responsible for personnel expenses, including but not limited to salaries and benefits, local transportation, and official issue material. The law enforcement agency is responsible for the salaries and benefits, including any overtime of all of its personnel being trained or performing duties under the 287G agreement, and of those personnel performing the regular functions of the participating personnel while they are receiving training. The law enforcement agency will cover the cost of all their personnel's travel, housing, and per diem affiliated with the training required for participation in the 287G agreement. ICE has been shown to be extremely violent, to act without cause, and not be held to practically any responsibility for when they've committed wrongdoings. I don't have to tell you all twice of the numerous killings perpetrated by ICE, nor the horrific conditions that exist in ICE detention centers across the country. Acting under no due process, immigrants to our country, whether illegal or legal, and a reminder to everyone that under the Constitution, even illegal immigrants have a right to due process, are being violently detained, abused in detention facilities, and deported to countries they have never stepped foot in their entire lives. This is not to mention the violence ICE has inflicted on legal, natural-born citizens of our country, especially if you don't have the skin color of myself or most of us here sitting today. So tonight, I reiterate a call to the County Council to act in the interest of the safety of our citizens and all those who reside in the county, to act not only on Flock, but on the Sheriff's Office as a whole, to prevent violence against our people. Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
Any council member comments?
Yes, sir.
Art?
The Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority is owned by the towns of Seneca, Walhalla, West Union, and Westminster. Let's make it clear, Oconee County has nothing to do with that. But I've noticed in the local media, they've tried to blame some of it on us. I even had some local politicians to say that we ought to step forward and help them. Scott Mulder is the city administrator for Seneca. Kevin Bronson's administrator for the city of Westminster. Chris Alizar is executive director of the sewer authority. Those three people on the AHOC committee, and they were on the ship when they sunk it. And they've got those three people on the committee to raise it. Now, that was a big question in my mind. How do you get somebody to advise you when they're the ones that cause the problem? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other comments? Mr. Crockett, Chief Wilkerson in Fairplay, he sent me some information about those lawsuits where it looks like about the fire trucks, only a few manufacturing were all backlogged. I think that's something definitely worth the county looking into or maybe joining a partnership with. As far as the tax district, I mean, my stance is the tax district needs to be stabilized before we move forward. At that time, I think we definitely should move forward. My personal position is I think this tax district should be dissolved, but that's my one and only opinion out of 5. And I don't know the feasibility of that either, so that's what the legal review is for. Mr. Collin, I'll talk about the flock cameras when we get to that on the agenda, but I 100% support the sheriff entering into the 287G program. Actually, there are multiple levels of the program. And I believe the Oconee County Sheriff's Office is in the lowest level of enforcement. I would support the sheriff's office moving into the highest level or a higher level. There may be higher levels than the last time I read it, but I fully support the sheriff and participating in that program. As far as, Ms. Tory, you talked about OJRSA, you know, the more I've watched it, you know, increasingly I've become concerned with the direction of it, because the county taxpayers will be in position to inherit the consequences of years of problems within the municipal sewer system that the county government did not own or operate. But, you know, we signed a resolution that's pretty open-ended, and we'll listen to them make those recommendations. But, you know, a lot of these problems that contributed to inflow and infiltration, you know, the OJLC was put into a consent order, and then, 2021, then by 2024, it came out they still did not have any significant plans to recover from it. And, you know, we didn't create those liabilities. It looks like they're positioning to leverage the taxing authority of the county to shift those burdens to the whole taxpayers. And, you know, looking at it this time, I don't agree with it, and I agree with what you've said, Mr. Hart. Any other comments?
Yes, sir, I'd like to make one. When I was saying the mismanagement, I use those words, but those words come from Columbia, South Carolina, when they told them they had to reconstitute it because of their mismanagement. I'm just repeating what the agency in Columbia, South Carolina has told them, gave them 3 alternatives. And what the last one, which I have never heard mentioned, is that they need another entity, not necessarily in Oconee County, to come in and take it over and run it. But out of my times with them, they've never mentioned that. They've been trying to see what they can do. They don't want to talk about having someone else to run it outside of Oconee County. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so the county didn't operate these municipal collection systems, and county council didn't defer the maintenance on them, and the taxpayers didn't control the rates to them. And you now have a system that, you know, I've seen numbers out for a 20-year repair of it of $308 million. $308 million. And, you know, so again, they're doing all these studies, but we've yet to see anything concrete presented to us.
Let me add some more. If you read the minutes, it says that we need Oconee County involved because they're source of revenue. Now, you can judge that by yourself, but to me, that means if you live outside a municipality like Long Creek or Mountain Rest, they're looking for you to be taxed, and you pay for the sewer treatment even though you're using a septic tank. You're the big dog with the money. Thank you.
Yeah, handing the bill to people in Mountain Rest is not enough. Or Long Creek or Oakway or anywhere that's unincorporated area. Any other comments? Public hearing, we got public hearing on 2 ordinances. First is ordinance 2026-24, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of easement rights to Upcountry Fiber for the purpose of utility infrastructure construction and maintenance at property owned by Oconee County, located at the intersection of Nebo Church Road, Seneca, South Carolina. Such property currently identified by tax parcel number 256-00-04-031 and other matters related thereto.
We have no speakers.
No speakers. So I'll close public hearing on ordinance 2026-24. Next, we have ordinance 2026-25, an ordinance for the preservation, redevelopment, and sale of the historic Oconee County Courthouse located at 211 West Main Street, Walhalla, South Carolina, and other related matters.
We have no speakers.
No speakers. I close public hearing on ordinance 2026-25. Next, we have third reading of those same 2 ordinances. I'm not going to read them again, but they should be on the caption on the screen. First is ordinance 2026-24.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Next, we have ordinance 2026-25. This is the courthouse ordinance.
Make a motion. Second.
Second. Any discussion? All right, so I look at this as a winning opportunity. Estimates is $3 million to tear down this courthouse. This kind of gives the private market one more opportunity to rehabilitate it. It'd go up for sale for $100,000. But then once somebody buys it, if they meet certain criteria, such as stabilizing the structure, putting a roof on it, stopping the end leakage, making it fully ready for development, then they'll receive a $1 million incentive from the county. That's still $2 million less than tearing the building down, and it puts the building back on the tax rolls for the county, and hopefully can be a viable building for the county, community, and Walhalla, which has just been a block for the city of Walhalla. I think it says a lot about. I'm not one for big fancy government buildings. And I think this is great right here, the way this building's been reused and repurposed for the taxpayers. I think it says a lot about our community when we let an iconic structure like a courthouse decay in the county center like that. So this is Mr. Power brought this idea forward. I've heard some good feedback. I think I look to have a buyer probably pretty soon. But if not, we'll wait 9 months and we'll move forward the next budget cycle to tear it down. But hopefully this path to move forward and save the taxpayers $2 million and get it back on the tax rolls. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, we have now first reading of the following ordinance. Ordinance 2026-26, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances by adding an article entitled Protection from Mass Surveillance to prohibit the use of county funds, property, personnel, equipment, contracts, information technology systems, and other county resources for prohibited mass surveillance systems, to prohibit the placement or operation of such systems on county property and within county-controlled road right-of-ways, to establish eligibility requirements for discretionary county appropriations, recreation funds, accommodation tax awards, grants, sponsorships, and other county-controlled distributions to include municipality-sponsored events and material and kind municipal support within such eligibility requirements to prevent the circumvention through affiliated or separately incorporated entities, to amend Chapter 30, Article 3, by adding permanent accommodation tax eligibility disclosure and enforcement provisions, to amend Chapter 26 by prohibiting mass surveillance encroachments within county-controlled right-of-ways and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Motion second.
Yep.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
public safety is the top priority for county council. Flock cameras are used for public safety. Therefore, I will be voting no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. I would just like to go back. I mean, I understand the public safety aspect of things. I also understand that we have a deep trust, that most of us do, for our law enforcement in our area. But like I said, when this was discussed during one of the committee meetings, things that are used against you are usually not, they're built by your friends and then inherited by your enemies. And if you look at Federalist Paper number 51, where James Madison was talking about the structure of our government, he said, "It may be a reflection on human nature that such devices should be necessary to control the abuses of government. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men, over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. A dependence on the people is, no doubt, the primary control on government, but experience has taught mankind the necessity of auxiliary precautions." So the problem that the framers were faced with here was, if people were perfect, you wouldn't need a government because everybody would do what's right. And since people are sinful, You have to have government to restrain evil and keep people in line. But the problem with that is the people in government are also sinful and can lean to the same types of excesses as the people they're governing. So they gave us a government that separated powers, that put the power in the hands of the people, that kept government in check, knowing that those constitutional checks and restraints were safeguards against the concentration and abuse of government power. Now, I understand all the good things that can be done with flock, and I've heard people say before, you know, if something happened to my child, or if I had someone that's elderly is lost, you can find them. I understand all those arguments, but you have to look at what you're giving up. At some point, these things can and will be turned against you. It's only been 5 or 6 years now out of COVID that you can see what government out of control, what lengths they will go to. There were churches in Alabama that got together and they were police coming and writing them tickets for going to church. And that was in Alabama. You look at some of the states that are more liberal and at the lockdown measures that they took. That was government coming in and infringing on the rights of those people. This thought process that government is benevolent is a wrong way to think. Government has to be kept in check. That's the reason they gave us the Fourth Amendment. And I know people say, well, it's not a Fourth Amendment violation. You don't have any reasonable expectation of privacy when you're in public. Well, there's a difference between taking a snapshot picture of a license plate and taking that data and aggregating that data through an AI method that will track where you are this time of day, what church you're going to, what political meetings you're going to, all of those things. That's where the danger comes in. And for the people to say, well, the courts have ruled on this, not on this technology. In 2012, in United States versus Jones, the Supreme Court recognized that using technology to track someone's movements can implicate the Fourth Amendment. And I think that was a case dealing with GPS tracking. In the Carpenter case in 2018, the court emphasized that being in public does not mean that a person gives up all Fourth Amendment protections. Technology can allow the government to create an extensive record of where a person has been. And when I say that this issue covers all demographics and crosses political lines, if I'm not mistaken, Justice Sotomayor is the one that wrote the consenting opinion on that. The question is not, can police see my license plate? It's, can the government turn those individual observations into a permanent, searchable history of everyone's movements without individualized suspicion or judicial oversight? So the question isn't whether or not Flock can help solve crimes. It can. It can. The question is, what limits should exist on the government's ability to use it? And this, I go back to this thought that seems to permeate our society, that somehow government is benevolent. Government is made up of sinful people just like everybody else, and it can easily be turned against you. You know, if you look back through the 20th century and look at the greatest crimes with the greatest loss of life, and you add those together, then what you will find is approximately, and this is a mid-level estimate, 212 million people have been killed in the 20th century by government. So turning this power over to government is not something to take lightly. And I say, just an example here locally. I saw somebody shared something on Facebook a couple weeks ago that was kind of when I first saw it, I thought it was just an attack on law enforcement. And I kind of, people say all kind of things on Facebook, I get attacked with crazy things sometimes. So you tend to take those things with a grain of salt. But I looked at it again, and then I saw some people making some comments in there, and I was like, well, I don't really know this guy, but I know this guy, and he's not a crazy person. He's not running around with wild stories and stuff. So I got to looking, and it was about a police officer that some people were making some accusations about, but the guy was in Georgia, so I didn't think too much about it. But then I had been on the Have You Been Flocked site, and I had been looking through some of the municipality reports on there. And you can search those agencies, and it puts indicators of names and stuff on there. Well, reading through this post, I see there are people from Oconee talking about it on there. And then turns out the guy they're talking about, who's in Rabun County, had worked for Walhalla. Well, I went back and looked at those reports on there, and I don't know if it's him. I can tell you the first initial matches and the first 3 letters of the last name that was put in as the code matches. In his time in Walhalla, he had over 1,200 searches on the flock system, which was way over and above anybody else during that time. So I pull up the same site for Rabun County, Georgia, same initials. Looks like it's the same guy that these people are complaining about. 4,480 searches by this guy over 183 days. Now, was he doing anything wrong? I don't know, but I know there were people on there accusing him of pulling over me and my fiance, 7 times in 1 month. Was he abusing the system? Did he have a search set up that when these people came into town, it was automatically running their tag and he was just pulling them over for whatever? I don't know. It could have been legitimate. Everything could have been legitimate with it. We won't know unless we were to see the audit logs from that. But it does raise suspicion. And when you get on there and start looking at the volume of some of these searches, it raises a lot of suspicion. And there again, especially a few years ago when this system is new, I have a hard time believing that it wasn't treated like a new shiny toy of look at what information that I can pull and what I can look at. So that's my suspicions on there. But we have to be very careful about the power we hand over to government, because in my opinion, one day it can be used against you. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It can be turned on you. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. James. Well, I believe Mr. James covered it pretty well. I stand with everything he has said. I agree with Mr. Elliott. Public safety, I wouldn't say it's the number one focus. I think the number one focus is to protect people's God-given rights. And that's in the oath that we all swore. And as we was thinking about this and it was coming forward, I thought back to 2021 when I first took the oath of office. And that was in the middle of a crazy time. And I promised up here after that oath, that I would not waste my 4 years at the time of sitting here and do nothing while people's rights was being eroded. And I believe this is another example of that. I mean, we all support law enforcement. We've shown it in pay raises. Hopefully we can do some more here in the next few months, and ballistic protection and other measures. But supporting law enforcement doesn't mean you forego people's rights. It was disappointing to see a caption in the paper today that acted like the courts had decided on this issue. They have not. There's several cases still working through the system. But, we took that oath to defend the Constitution, not to wait for a court to tell us otherwise. So it's our goal, right? It's our job, it's our oath, it's our duty to sit here as we make these decisions and to defend that oath. And it's very concerning to me that in South Carolina we have all 46 sheriffs, that not a single one of them came out and stood on the side of the Constitution and said, hold up a minute. Sheriff's Association came out and put a big bulletin out in support of it. But then you look, Flock Cameras is a gold sponsor for the Sheriff's Association. And then you look, they sponsored training at the Sheriff's Association convention called Building Community Trust. So you have a mass surveillance company sponsoring training for building some, community trust. I think the Sheriff's Association, what they put out, they want to advocate for something. That's fine. They also need to put a disclaimer there that, hey, these guys is also a sponsor. But, it's their duty here not to wait on a court. The courts have not decided, for everything else, it's been, as technology advances, the law is slow and the courts are slow. Used to, they would pull all your cell phone records and get it. Well, now you have to get a warrant. They used to do the geo-fencing with the cell phone towers and all that. Now you have to get a warrant. In all those cases, there's a judge standing between you and the government. In this case, there's not. And we can have local controls all we want, but an open network system where somebody in Georgia or somewhere else can pull up any information they want. Just bad actors within the government, not counting a concerted government effort. So, I agree public safety is important, but it does not trample people's rights. We can do all kinds of things to make law enforcement's job easier and solve crimes very fast. We could get rid of due process. We could completely get rid of the warrant process. Well, we could get rid of the judge and the jury and have the law enforcement officer convict people on the spot, and you'd lock down crime pretty quick, right? So the Constitution intentionally throttles government and makes it slow. So we can't control D.C. We can't control Columbia. I believe Representative Duncan's going to introduce some legislation to try to push some bills forward in Columbia's control this situation. But we can't control Oconee County. And we have limited ability there, but we'll use in every level we can to try to protect the citizens, that live here, that's entrusted us with that. And Mr. James, I agree with you 100%.
Mr. Chair, I'd also, if I could, I'd like to make a motion in here if I could. I'd like to make a motion for us to direct staff to communicate with the Sheriff's Department and ask that council be allowed access to the unredacted audit logs.
I'll second.
Any discussion on Councilman James's motion?
Yes, Chairman. Do we want to limit that just to the Sheriff's Department, or we want to be able to look at all municipalities' audit logs?
I would love to look at all of them, but I don't know where we have jurisdiction with them.
All municipalities and the Sheriff's Department.
I'm good with that.
I think if they don't open it up, that says volumes.
Yeah.
Emphasizing unredacted.
Yes.
Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of Mr. James' motion? Aye.
Aye.
We're back to the main motion of first reading of the ordinance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
That is 4-1.
All right, we move forward now to ordinance 2026-27, an ordinance to amend chapter 2, administration of the Code of Ordinances of Oconee County, South Carolina by adding Article 7 entitled Position Authorization and Classifications Control to require all county positions regardless of funding source to be included in the position authorization and classification schedule approved by county council, to provide that the receipt or availability of a grant, state appropriation, donation, restricted revenue fee, or other funding does not independently authorize the creation or continuation of a county position, to establish uniform procedures for the creation, reclassification, continuation, expiration, and abolition of county positions, to preserve lawful appointment and personnel authority, to prohibit circumvention, and to provide for codification, severability, conflicting provisions, and an effective date. And I do want to make one statement here. I believe we corrected in the backup material, but this should be Article 7. Is that correct, Ms. Adams?
Yes.
So it's, the backup material is correct, but the caption should be Article 7. It's Article 8.
Article 8.
I'm sorry. Do we have a motion?
Second motion.
Second.
Any discussion? So we should, whether it comes to county departments, other boards, elected offices, county council controls the appropriations. And this just cleans it up to where, any positions that are created, must be approved by this body, not any workaround. I hear no other comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, ordinance 2026-28, an ordinance to amend section 2-191, appointment duties of Division 4 County Attorney of Article 3, Officers and Employees, Chapter 2, Administration of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in order to require county council authorization before a county agency, commission, board, department, or committee may employ or retain an attorney other than the county attorney and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Second.
So I brought this forward because I was just reading Attorney General opinions and came across an Attorney General opinion where county was having an issue where I believe it was an elected office was trying to hire an attorney to go against the county, and it got kind of convoluted, so they was asking for Attorney General opinion, and Attorney General ruled that they had this provision in their ordinance so that the other office wasn't allowed to hire an attorney without county council's approval. So I saw that, so that's a pretty good line to have in the code of ordinances, so I brought it forward to Mr. Chomley to bring it up tonight. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Next, we have two resolutions. The first is Resolution 2026-10, a resolution appointing and commissioning Gretchen Leroy as a code enforcement officer for animal control for the proper security, general welfare, and convenience of Oconee County and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Next is Resolution 2026-11, a resolution consenting to and authorizing the annexation to the city of Seneca to certain property owned by Oconee County and presently designated by tax map number 520-36-10-17.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I reluctantly second that. I understand that the city of Seneca has some buildings that they're gonna sell, and they're gonna sell away their right-of-way to their maintenance shop. And, they're relying on the goodness of Oconee County to give them right-of-way into that shop so they can sell that building and maintain their shop. So I'm opposed to this. Seems to be some clerical error on this. Seneca has been claiming this is in the city limits, and come to find out that somebody screwed up the paperwork, they wasn't in it.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. So this goes back to 2014, where it looks like this land was attempted to be annexed. Based on my research, it appears that everything was done correctly on the city of Seneca side. But we couldn't find proper evidence via the county side. Can't find any vote taken by county council to approve it. But it did show up on the tax map ID as the city of Seneca city limits, but there's no record of showing, that it was done correctly, done at all on the county side. My only concern is, annex laws are very strict, and they can be challenged very easily. And with postings and everything you have to have, and I don't know if a resolution 12 years past the fact truly clears that up. That's my concern. Any other comments? I hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That is 3-2.
All right, now we have nothing moved from consent agenda. Have several action items. Actually, one action item. It's a request for county council's approval or acceptance of the Federal Aviation Administration grant offered for airport improvement. AIP project number 345-0016-039-2026 and airport infrastructure grant, AIG project number 3-45-016-040-2026 with approval to commit a total of $11,335 in matching funds and to authorize the county administrator to execute all necessary grant documents pertaining to the airport layout with master plan narrative projects.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. This looks like a real good deal. We putting up 2.5%, and the aeronautics board's putting up 2.5%, and the U.S. government's giving us 95%. So I don't think we could go wrong.
So it's $11,335 of county money for $430,000 and some change in grant monies. So, which every grant operates that way. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, council committee reports. Plan Economic Development Committee, Mr. James.
At the August 4th, 2026 Special Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting, Ms. Hester provided the committee with a brief update regarding the review of Chapter 26, Roads, 32, Design Standards, and 38, Zoning of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances that is being performed by the Oconee County Planning Commission. The committee briefly discussed lessening or possibly removing the county's 25-foot right-of-way on roads. The committee also met before tonight's council meeting and will meet again on October 6th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. James. We have Board of Commissioner appointments, Board of Building Code Appeals Board, and Agriculture Advisory Board. Does anybody have any nominations? Here, no, we need a motion to enter executive session for a length of items. But when we know one discussion.
All right, there you go. County Council meeting tonight, and some interesting things coming out of the County Council meeting. If you were just tuning in, heard the last section concerning the property, they were referring to the Propex plant that now they're saying that, according to the county side, they don't have anything record that that's in the city limits. So anyway, we're going to follow up a little bit on that one. I want to go back real quickly and bring up something that Council Member Tommy James was talking about. And let me bring this. Again, I was able to locate, I found what he was referring to. This is the post that he's referring to concerning the deputy that works over in Rabun County. This is the deputy that they're referring to is this gentleman right here. His last name is Shed. And this has been on several different Facebook groups here in the last few weeks talking about some of the things that this deputy's done. Again, those are the things that this flock camera system that they were talking about, the audits and stuff. But this is the deputy that they're referring to. He used to work at Wahal at one time. He also was a police officer at West Union, and then he became a police officer over at Rabun County, Georgia, just across the county line. So this is the gentleman that Tommy James was referring to in the Facebook post that's been going on throughout the last several weeks. Apparently this gentleman right here, but then his usage of the flock cameras was just way up there. I mean, it was huge. Completely, it was huge. So anyway, that's one of the things that was referring to. just a short bit ago. Well, the flock safety, of course, there's new safeguards, nationwide license plate reader network, and following reports of the improper searches and growing privacy concerns. Again, here we are. This is the 21st century. Sometimes I wonder, I don't think technology has, or the Constitution sometimes has caught up with technology because the technology's there. And we want to give our local law enforcements all the tools they need to be able to solve crimes. However, I have a big issue with this flock camera system. I think that there needs to be some clear checks and balances. The county council has taken a preventive strike to be able to see the audits of unredacted information and for themselves to see what's actually going on. So again, this was just the first reading in the protection from the mass surveillance ordinance 2026-26. And again, I support checks and balances of this. I'm not automatically against every camera, and I'm not going to pretend these systems have never helped solve crimes, and they have. But supporting law enforcement does not mean handing out any government agency or private technology company an unlimited ability to track innocent people. A license plate may be visible in public, but then thousands of cameras combine that information into a searchable record for where someone travels, when they arrive, where they worship, where they receive medical care, and who they visit. That becomes something much larger than one officer seeing one vehicle on the side of the road. And of course, the power requires firm rules with this. At a minimum, I believe any flock camera program should include searches conducted to a legitimate investigation and a documented case number, automatic audit logs showing who searched, what they searched, and why, routine independent reviews, not merely internal promises that everything is fine, a short, clearly defined retention period for vehicles not connected to a crime, strict limits on sharing information with outside agencies, immediate suspension and meaningful discipline for unauthorized searches, regular public reports showing how often the cameras are used, how many investigations they assist, and whether any violations occurred, and approval by elected officials before the system is expanded or rules have changed. That is some of the checks and balances that look alike and some of the things that I would like to see. I also have concerns of how broad this county ordinance appears to be. It does more than restrict the county's use of surveillance technology. It could make municipalities using certain systems ineligible for county-controlled recreation money, accommodations, sponsorships, and other discretionary funding. That means the consequences could reach beyond the police department. Community festivals, recreation programs, tourism projects could potentially get caught in the middle. And if Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster, or any other municipality uses flock cameras, should a youth recreation program or a community festival lose county support? And that really deserves a question on its own, serious public discussion there. But again, we'll find out in the next few weeks of where everything is heading with the flock camera. Of course, this was just the first reading of the mass surveillance ordinance. Now, Glenn Hart tonight opened up a can of worms. And if you followed the OJRSA, the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority, well, we've got a few issues. And these are some of the things that a lot of us have been saying for many, many years. As Council Member Glenn Hart's discussion of the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. Now, the OJRSA treats wastewater for Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster, and West Union, and portions of the southern Oconee County, hence the sewer south. It operates the Conoross Creek Treatment Facility, approximately 65 miles of gravity sewer lines, 15 pump stations, and 24 miles of force mains. One of the things that's been going on is an effort to reorganize or reconstitute the authority. Councilmember Hart was appointed to the committee studying the proposed change, and the recommendation under consideration would consolidate the collection systems currently operated by the participating municipalities and the county into a unified regional system. Earlier recommendations also proposed replacing the current governing structure from the smaller 5-member board with one representative each from Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster, and Oconee County, plus an agreed-upon at-large member. That could improve regional planning, eliminate duplicate services, but it also raises major questions. For example, who owns the existing sewer infrastructure? How will those assets be valued? And who becomes responsible for the existing debt? How will the future expansion be funded? Customers in one municipality subsidize growth somewhere else. And most importantly, who will answer directly to the customers when the rate increases or something goes wrong? One of the things tonight that Matt Durham said in the council meeting, that long-term plan, there is a potential that this sewer plant is going to have to be upgraded, was over $308 million. $308 million. Again, who will answer directly? Who's going to fund this? These are things that are coming. These are things that I've tried to tell you for the last several years that was coming down the pike. And again, on top of this, with all of the infrastructure that we're having issues with now, all of the development, I think D-Day is coming faster than later. I think it's coming much sooner than we first anticipated. Because again, you don't even have the lines down at Sewer South completely charged. You don't have all of that coming up here. You have about a 55 to 60% capacity. When it rains, it goes to 100. Then we have issues with spillage of sewer. We still have a lawsuit that's going on over at Cross Creek, where they're suing the OJRSA over the dumping of what they've been going through. So, you know, we're at a tippet. Things are going to start going off the cliff. The Conoross Creek facility has earned state and national recognition for environmental compliance, but again, there has been a time where it has not gone that well. And we've got sewer lines here that are reaching 50, 60 years old in certain parts of the municipality. Seneca has a prime example. Again, there's going to be a day that we're going to have a very rough conversation concerning sewer. So those are the two major things that we took out of tonight's council meeting. Well, folks, it is 7 o'clock. Appreciate you joining us here on this Tuesday evening. We've got some great shows lined up for coming up here in the next several weeks. We're going to continue to follow things out of the city of Seneca again tomorrow night all the way through October. If you're wanting to find out more about the municipal tax relief that they're going to be having every Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 6:30, you can stop by Seneca City Hall and you can ask these questions. And also, too, you can go to the website to follow here at seneca.sc.us/tax relief if you're interested in getting more information. And as we get a little bit closer to election for the referendum, we'll do a whole complete show on that as we'll follow up, and then I'll give you my thoughts and views on that. Some of the businesses are not too happy about that, but again, this is going to be up to the citizens. The citizens not only in Seneca, but Walhalla, Westminster, and I believe Salem and West Union have voted to approve the referendum to go to the citizens of each respective municipality. Another thing, Walhalla Water has made a surface again, and it has not been a good weekend for the Walhalla Water Department. They had a major water leak over the weekend that physically drained both of the storage tanks in the city of Walhalla. They got those repaired, and then was it last night they had another water issue related to the storm that came through, and some of the pictures are floating on social media. The brown water is back, and we feel for you up there in Walhalla because this has been a long-going battle for which seems like several years now concerning water issues related to the city of Walhalla. But they have released the latest update. Everything was taken offline. There is no more boil water advisories, no more mandatory restrictions as the system continues to get back to normal. But again, the Walhalla water system is back in the news. Last night, we had a great conversation with William Bill Bull, who is running for county council representative for District 1 for the Republican Party. And that interview, by the way, is available on our website. If you want to watch that to find out more about Bill Bull, you can go to jazzygeffpodster.com, and you can also check out some of our other shows there. That is on the website. Next show will be coming up on Monday night, which will be August the 24th. We will not have a show on the 25th. We're going to be attending an event coming up on the 25th on Tuesday, And then coming up on Labor Day weekend, we will be off for the Pot Stirrer podcast. So we're going to be digging down, getting our trenches, and we'll continue passing along the information and the news stories and headlines that no one else wants to discuss, but we will discuss right here on the Pot Stirrer podcast. Hope everybody has a great week. Do your best to try to stay out of the you want to stay cool because it's going to be hot again the rest of this week. And the early signs of cool down, maybe next Monday. We could only hope. All right, folks, have a great evening. And again, thanks for joining us here on the Pot Stirrer podcast, wrapping up our coverage tonight of the Oconee County Council meeting at Walhalla tonight. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon here on the Pot Stirrer podcast.
From the back roads and courthouse steps of small-town South Carolina to the late-night studio where the mics never sleep, this is where decisions, rumors, and real stories collide. You're tuned in to the Pot Stirrer podcast with Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, local issues, no fluff.